How's it going, everyone? I'm Gerard from SERIALNINE, and today we're going to unbox a CD999 shifter and show you how to install it onto a CD transmission. Alright, so we're going to unbox the shifter and show you all the parts. Warning, stickers, installation instructions. Very important that you read these, even though you're watching the video. A couple of brochures for other products we make. Main body of the shifter. Spacers, linkage actuator and roll pin. Shifter stick. 3-hole position adjuster. Bolt kit. And that's all the stuff.
You know that high grade, that gasoline. You should see my schedule, the summer dip. I don't have no time for you, no time for me. You should see my dip.
So let's get down to business and put it on the transmission. Let's start by taking all this crap off. You're going to pull this out, and it has 2 roll pins. Here you can see the factory dual roll pin setup. You're going to need a 1/8 pin punch to get the middle one out, and then I use a 3/16 to get the outer one out. It's pretty easy. You basically just smash it and take them out. You're going to want to stick it into 2nd, 4th, or whatever to have the most strength on the selector shaft. So put it all the way in, line up your pin punch. Out comes the little one. Grab your bigger punch. You can see it started already. Just keep it along the side. Bigger one came out. Easy. Then you simply slide this thing off. Take the boot off. So now you have your selector shaft. Take a bit of Scotch-Brite or something. Give that a nice clean and get rid of that rust. Nice and clean. Alright, so you got your linkage actuator and your roll pin. So what's going to happen is we're going to put this into here, and this is going to be slid onto the selector shaft of the transmission and hammered through. This is what the shifter grabs and changes the gears on the transmission. So what we do is start this into here first. It makes it easier to install on the transmission, whether it's in the car or out of the car. So if it's in the car, you normally start it from the bottom and then hammer it through from underneath the car. Or if you have the transmission out, it's easier to kind of do it like this and hammer it from the top. I'm going to show you how to do that. Alright, so it helps if you have hex jaws like the kind for assembling fittings and stuff, because you can hold the linkage actuator nice and snug in there to help you out. So you're going to need a hammer and some vice grips, preferably needle nose, and all you're really doing is just squeezing the roll pin to allow easier entry into the linkage actuator, and we're sort of pre-assembling it to allow easier installation onto the transmission. So you just kind of grab it like so, about a 1/4 inch from the end, give it a squeeze to compress it, put it in here, give it a whack, boom, you're done. Make sure it doesn't go too far through like that, because now you're not going to be able to slide that onto the tranny. So if you do that, you're going to have to squeeze it back and sort of wiggle it out again. Alright, so once you've pre-installed your roll pin into your linkage actuator like this, take the selector shaft, shove it all the way in, and if you have a little bit sticking out like I do in there, you're going to need some help because it's not going to slide on perfectly. So you're going to have to squeeze that roll pin again with the vice grips. Make sure it's nice and tight. We hammer it on with a rubber mallet. So now it's easy to put on, take off, line up the hole, take your normal hammer, give it a whack. See, now you're lined up. Make sure it does not protrude on the other side. It has to be completely flush. I think we're good. Alright, so once you got your linkage actuator sorted out, pull the selector shaft all the way out. You're going to grab the main body of your shifter, your spacers, and your bolts. The way to determine which spacers you need is really easy. The early trannies have a counterbore that receives the step on these spacers. If you don't have a counterbore, you don't need these spacers. Pretty much everything after 2005 has the rubber mounted rear section, which just uses the regular spacers. They just go right there. You're going to put the main body onto the tranny. It's really easy. I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so you're going to take the main body. What you're going to do is stick it on like this, push it down, and go up onto this thing. So you take the body as high as you can, so it's almost against there, and push that down into the reverse lockout, and that goes onto there. And that's it, man. Get your long bolts. This always sits right up against there. Get your bolts. Line up all your holes. Tighten these bolts down 15 foot-pounds if you're counting. They do need to be fairly tight, but not overly tightened. It is an aluminum transmission case. Alright, so this section is essentially for those of you that have the transmission already in the car and are swapping out another brand of shifter. It's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is drop the tranny down 3 to 5 inches or so. Basically just pull the drive shaft off. You got to split the exhaust, of course. But you don't need much room above it. So we've put a yoke in here just to prevent any spillage, but be prepared. You will have to obviously replace or whatever the gear oil. So we're going to go through and show you how to install that on your tranny. It's pretty easy. Alright, so once you got your transmission dropped down about 3 inches or so, usually right when the firewall hits the engine, and you've installed your linkage actuator from the bottom side, so you pull that all the way out. You grab your shifter, put it on all the way back, leaning super far back, push down into reverse lockout, just wiggle it onto the linkage actuator, just like so, and that's it. You got your spacers already, you got your bolts. Alright, so now that you got your shifter on, what we're going to do is adjust the reverse lockout. That will prevent you from selecting the reverse gate when shifting into 5th and 6th. You're going to need a 10mm wrench, and we'll start by loosening the bolts that hold the top plate on. That allows you to slide the plate left to right. So what you're going to do is stick it into 5th. So we got 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. 5th is very close. That's 5th. That's 6th. So we go into 5th, and then we move the plate against the shifter. We snug it, and then we select 6th. And we make sure the plate is still against the shifter in 6th. Snug it down, that front one. Go back up to 5th. Make sure you can still get in it. Make sure the plate's against the shifter still. Tighten it down. Now you're going to go through the gears and into reverse. Reverse is down, over, so we got 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, down, over, reverse. If you ever have trouble, if it starts to grab the reverse gate right here, then you're going to have to readjust this that way because it has somehow moved over. Maybe you didn't have it tight enough. Anyways, that's how you do the reverse lockout.